Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. La Bamba is a 1987 American biographical drama film that was written and directed by Luis Valdez. It stars Lou Diamond Phillips in the lead role of Richie Valens, along with Isaiah Morales, Rosanna De Soto, Elizabeth Pena, Danielle von Zernick, and Joe Pantoliano. The story is a true story that we all know well, and it has to do with Buddy Holly. But this film focuses on the life of Richie Valens, who was a young rock and roll singer who tragically died along with Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper when he was only 17 years old. The movie follows Richie from his days in Pacoima, California, where he and his family made a meager living working on farms, to his rise as a superstar. It also focuses on Richie's friendship and rivalry with his older brother, Roberto Morales, and his relationship with his girlfriend, Donna Ludwig. Now, this is a fascinating story that most people in the U.S. are completely familiar with, the Buddy Holly plane crash. Please let me know in the comments what you remember about that event and what you've heard about that crash that killed these three popular musicians. Also, let us know if you've ever visited the Surf Ballroom in Clear Lake, Iowa, where they played their last performance. It's a grand place to see. You're immediately drawn back into the 1950s. I don't think anything has changed from the way it was when they performed their last gig. Also, keep your eye out for Richie Valens' real mother, who herself makes a brief cameo in the movie. I will point her out to you during the first party scene that's in the film. And then towards the end of the video, I'll show you a very obvious mistake that the filmmakers make in the plane boarding scene that led to their deaths. So watch till the very end. The movie starts out showing children playing on a playground, and then a plane crash happening. That crash really did happen at Richie Valens' school on January 31st, 1957. When a DC-7 and an F-89 jet collided and broke up in midair. The DC-7 landed on the playground of Pacoima Junior High School. All this happening while students were outside at recess. Everyone on the DC-7 was killed. Several students were killed on the playground, and 75 were injured. It just so happens that Richie Valens was out of school that day. He was attending his grandfather's funeral. This crash put a lifelong fear of flying into Valens, which makes it even more ironic as to how he died. The club where you see Richie being nervous about performing before an Anglo crowd is the Cowboy Palace in Chatsworth, California. That bar is still in business today. Another piece of irony that happens in the true story of these three deaths is that the Big Bopper and Waylon Jennings, who was Buddy Holly's bass player at the time, traded seats. The Big Bopper got on the plane, and Waylon ended up taking the bus. Before that plane took off, Buddy said to Waylon, "I hope you freeze your butt off on that bus," which caused Waylon to jokingly respond, "Well, I hope your plane crashes." That remark haunted Waylon for years and years. The house that you see in the movie that Richie buys for his mother, fulfilling a promise that he had made to her, is across the street from the house that he actually bought for his mother in real life. This film is often thought of alongside the Buddy Holly story from 1978, but La Bamba is a far more accurate film. For example, in the Buddy Holly story, they imply that the bus had broken down, when in fact, that wasn't the case at all. It was just that the heater had gone out and was completely broken. And in the upper Midwest, this is a bad time not to have a heater. But the truth be known, Buddy Holly's main reason for chartering the plane was primarily because he had run out of clean laundry and wanted to get to a laundromat before the following evening's show. It really could be argued that the Winter Dance Party tour that Ritchie Valens, Buddy Holly, and the Big Bopper were performing in was just as responsible for their deaths as the plane crash that killed them. Holly would have never chartered the flight had it not been for the conditions of the tour, which was poorly planned with absolutely no regard for logistics at all. Rather than circling the upper Midwest in a logical sequence, allowing time between concerts for adequate rest and travel, many of the venues were scheduled within 1 day of each other and were as far as 500 or 600 miles apart. Now, the first party scene, where you see the camera pan across all the family members that are in the room, you'll see Ritchie Valens's real mother seated on a sofa there, just for a brief time. And it shows that she died in 1987, the same year that the film came out. Now, I'm not sure if that was before or after the release of it. Now, according to Tommy Alsop, the one who lost the faithful coin toss to Ritchie Valens, says that this actually happened in the surf ballroom, in the dressing room there, and not at the airport that was depicted in the film. But the real big thing that I noticed about that last scene and that coin toss was that it showed the airport in the background as being in Clear Lake. And that wasn't the case at all. It was the Mason City, Iowa airport, which these two towns are kind of twin cities. They bump up against each other. It just so happens that on the day that they filmed that coin toss scene, the crew members had advised all the family to stay away that day of filming. But Ritchie's sister didn't heed the warning. While they were shooting it, she began to weep uncontrollably the whole time. When Lou Diamond Phillips went over to console her, she hugged him and she sobbed and treated him almost like he was Ritchie, saying, "Ritchie, why did you get on that plane?" Go back and take a look at this really good film from '87. And if you're ever in Mason City or Clear Lake, Iowa, don't forget to visit the Surf Ballroom. It doesn't cost a dime to get in there, and it's amazingly in perfect condition. You'll thoroughly enjoy it. Rarely do you see an old place that is held up so well. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.